Yeah.
virgin birth. So I got a couple verses real quick. So Isaiah 7:14 says, "Therefore Yahweh himself gives you a sign. Look, the maiden, if you look up the Hebrew there, it's
Alma.
Alma,
Yeah.
conceives and gives birth to a son and shall call his name Emmanuel." So Isaiah 7:14. And then in Matthew 1:23, "See, a maiden, or Alma, shall conceive, and she shall give birth to a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel," which translated means El with us. So
Yes.
I'd recommend looking up the word Alma, and you'll find that it appears 7 times in Tanakh, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Courtney, but all 7 times except for I think Proverbs 30,
Nope.
14.
Nope. All 7.
You think that one is talking about a maiden as well?
Yep.
I would love for you to elaborate on that.
Gotcha.
And I could
All
I
right.
could pull that I could pull that verse up while you're talking.
Yeah, let's do it. All 7 times the word Alma is used, it cannot be shown without a shadow of a doubt. It cannot be shown that it's not speaking of a virgin. Okay, so Alma has about 5 connotations. So it's only 7 times, guys. So and let me explain. Every Jew, every single Jew that I've ever spoken to will agree that 5 times of the 7 it's used of a virgin. But they say Isaiah 7:14, which is the verse in question. We're not allowed to use that one. Slide it out of the way. We can't use the verse in question to find out what the verse means. We got to go elsewhere. Okay. They say, look, Proverbs 30. And so they use Proverbs 30 to try and somehow say that this is what it really means. But if you understand, let's study. Let's put Proverbs 30 and Isaiah 7 on the shelf at the moment. Okay. We're just going to study the other mentions. They agree all the other mentions, the woman was a virgin, or it cannot be shown that she's not a virgin. Okay. So Alma has 5 connotations. It tells you that it's a woman, tells you that she's of maritable age. We know for a fact that she has never had kids. We know for a fact that she's unmarried, and she's often righteous. So she conceals her virginity. She's not out there being promiscuous. She's not flaunting herself. She's righteous. So
She's covering up. Yeah.
yeah, well, she's righteous. She's keeping her
Yep.
sexuality to herself. She's not out there like, yo, I'm a virgin, everybody, or I'm
What's
not.
up,
And
y'all?
so she's keeping that concealed. And this is why the rabbis are like, if you really get into a deeper metaphysical study on it, they'll start to get into the concealment aspect of Alma or Elim, which is the masculine, which also it's only used 2 times in the Hebrew Bible. And it's used of King David. And you can almost certainly not prove that he was not a virgin there as well in the time frame that it's talking about. This is right around the time of his first marriage, before this, and so on and so forth. But Proverbs 30. So they'll point you to Proverbs 30. See, there are 4 things. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, I got it on the screen. Let me read it real quick.
Okay.
This is from the ISR version, which most of the quotes I have. Proverbs 30:19. "The way of an eagle in the heavens, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship in the heart of the sea, and the way of a man with a girl." So the word girl there is Alma in the verse.
Okay, go back up. If you go back up and read the start of it, this is what is important, because you just read the way. If you go back up, it says there are 3 things that are too marvelous for me, 4 that I do not know. 4.
What
That's the
verse
count.
you want me to read?
The verse back, 1 more verse up.
All right.
The matters are too marvelous for me, and 4, which I do not understand, right? Or do not know. It's like it's too hard for him to even fathom, right?
Yep.
1, the way of an eagle in the heavens. 2, the way of a snake on the rock. 3, the way of a ship in the heart of the sea. And 4, the way of a man with a girl, or Alma. Now, verse 20 is where the rabbis say, see, this girl is promiscuous. Look, it says, this is the way of an adulterous woman. She eats, she wipes her mouth, and she says, I have done nothing wrong, right? And so they say the adulterous woman here in verse 20 is the Alma in verse 19. However, in all other accounts, and again, we're putting Isaiah 7 on the shelf, it is a woman who is, it's absolutely not provable that she's not a virgin. It's absolute. We know for a fact that she is, okay? And they acknowledge this. And so the one thing that you can do to figure out for sure if Proverbs 30 is a woman that is promiscuous who's called an alma is to ask yourself, does alma, other than verse 30, Proverbs 30, verse 19, 20, does that tell us anything else? Can we see that this woman has had kids, that she's married? Because
Yep.
remember, I said 5 things. It gives you 5 connotations. This is typically what you pull out of the, not the linguistics of the word, meaning it shows you, but the way that the word is used and applied to women in the past that we know were virgins. No one doubts for a fact that Moses' sister was a virgin. Miriam, all of them in the past, Jews acknowledge this, okay? And so we know it's never used of a woman who's already married. So let me ask you a question. To be an adulteress, don't you have to be married?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Right,
So
Raggy. Yep.
if you are an alma, and an alma is never already married, because remember, it's a woman of young marriageable age, and we never see that it's used for a woman who's already married. It's never used of a woman who gets married, and let's say she gets pregnant very quickly, and within the year, she's no longer after having a marriage, having the thing that creates a child, and then having the child, she's never again called an alma. All the young, beautiful women that bear children, even in the young age, and never once
Yep.
are they called an alma after bearing children. Never once are they called an alma after getting married. So, by process of elimination, looking at all the other passages, by the time you get to Isaiah 7 and Proverbs, you can discern that verse 20 is speaking about a totally different person. It is 3 things and then 4 that he doesn't understand. And they naturally bring verse 20 up to connect with that 4th one, just so they have any validity that the word alma can mean a woman who's not a virgin. But that is a desperate attempt to try and prove in some way, shape, or form that Isaiah 7 is not speaking of a woman who's righteous, a female of young marriageable age, never had a child, not married, and is the perfect word to use if you're going to be referencing Mary in the future.
Yeah, they want to hand wave and dismiss Isaiah
Yep.
7:14 and Alma, just like all of Isaiah 53. It's the same approach. Like, oh no, don't look behind that curtain.
Right.
All right. So before we jump on number 2, I just want to say thanks, Josh, for the super chat. Appreciate it, brother. So let's go to number 2. You done with that one, or you?
Yeah, I mean, guys, it's. I mean, you can look. You can. I mean, the 7 times. It's not like it's used 300 times in the Bible, and it's only 7 times. And like I said, they acknowledge that all other times it's a woman who's a virgin. And so they say, well, we have at least one example. And I'm like, okay, so if I can find at least one example of a Betula, which you claim is a virgin, the word, because Isaiah should have said Betula if he was going to say that Mary was a virgin. Well, let's look at it, because we have Joel. See, I just recently did a TikTok response video to Captain Dadpool, who is a deconstruction with a BA in theology, and he deconstructed. Now he's a total atheist, like hardcore atheist. Like, I'm not kidding, like hardcore atheist. But he uses a lot of Jewish apologetics. I did a response video to him, and he did a response video back, and he brought up Joel 1 verse 8, where it says that this woman is going to weep for the husband, or Baal, which means master or husband.
Yep.
He's going to weep for the Baal of her youth. So I said, I don't know if you know this. I'm pretty sure that you do. But Baal is never used of a man who is in a betrothal. It's only a man who's already married. So what is this woman doing? She's weeping for her first love, the man that took her virginity, right? He's passed, and she's weeping for him. And we even have rabbinic sources for that being the interpretation. But if they're going to say, I found one example, just one example is all I need to prove that Isaiah 7 is not a virgin, and that's Proverbs 30, even though I just refuted that by saying, again, we see that no passage can be shown that the woman's already married, and to be an adulteress, you have to be married, right? Otherwise, men are not explicitly condemned. It's something that I think Hashem or God frowns upon, but he's not explicitly condemning a married man who takes on another woman. Like, this is something that we see in the Bible. Polygamy is developed out of this idea. You see a few examples of this, but that's outside the scope of the talk here. But the
Yep.
point being is, to be an adulteress, you have to be married. And this woman, and Alma, is not married. She's never had
No.
kids. So verse 19 is a separate subject from verse 20. If you look at the chapter, he does it, boop, 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 3 things, 4 things, boop, 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 all the way down the whole chapter. But yeah, if I can find just one example then of Betula not meaning virgin, it can denote virginity and often does. But if I can find one example where it doesn't, does that mean I win this one? So you got to hold them to their standards. The same standard they judge you in the New Testament by, you make them judge their own religion by. But you got to know the material to do that, guys.